What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Diablo 4 video. In this video, we're going to be showcasing the Shadow Rogue Archer build. Now, this Shadow Rogue Archer build is a low level right now, so it can be improved upon. If you want to see a higher level one, feel free to follow and subscribe, and I will be updating this build in the future as I get a higher level, because this build is so much fun. I'm having a ton of fun using this. Now, this build is something that anybody can do. This build uses no legendaries. As you see, there's no aspect on my bow. There's an aspect on my shoes. It's just a smoke grenade. That's nothing. And I have a chance for a Dark Shroud. That's not needed at all either. So this build is effectively a legendary-less build. So this build will definitely get better as I get more legendary aspects on my gear. But that just means that anybody can do this build at a very low level. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into the build. Now, to start off with, we're going to be going with Puncture. Puncture is just the best basic attack in the game. For the rogues, we're going to be taking Enhanced Puncture and Fundamental Puncture for the vulnerability. Now, we're going to be using Barrage in this build instead of Rapid Fire and Penetrating Shot, because Barrage is a very good single damage, AoE damage, and it implies vulnerability on every third cast, making this, in my opinion, the most fun and the best of the three archer skills. Now, once we have that skill maxed out, we'll go ahead and move on down to the dash skill. We're going to ignore Shadow Step and Caltrops. They're not very necessary for our build. Once we get to a higher level, we will be putting points into Weapon Mastery. And for Dash, we're going to be going for Discipline Dash to slow enemies. Now, after we finish Discipline Dash, we're going to go ahead and move on down to Concealment. With Concealment, we're going to be going for Subverting Stealth to make enemies vulnerable even more. And once you get to a higher level, we will be taking Poison Trap, possibly. I'm not 100% sure on this, but I do believe that at a higher level, we will not be using our Puncture skill anymore, because as you see right here, it does not actually give you back any energy, which means it's kind of a redundant skill in the future since we're already applying so much vulnerability elsewhere. So once you get to a higher level, it may be worth removing this. Again, if you want to see if I do decide to do that once I'm a higher level, feel free to subscribe, and I'll let you guys know in an update if I do remove that. But if we do remove that, we will definitely be replacing it with Poison Trap and countering Poison Trap. Now, another important upgrade over here is Exploit. Exploit will give you an extra 6, 12, 18% damage when the enemies are at healthy or injured, which is an insane amount of damage. And we'll also be upgrading Malice right here, because we're going to keep enemies vulnerable at all times. Now, I'm letting you know that ahead of time. Right now, we're a low level. That's not the priority skills right now. But once we get a higher level, so I'm imagining a lot of you guys are already like 50, 60, 70, you guys can probably add points into this. Now, this is what makes the build insane, is Shadow Imbuement. Shadow Imbuement is the best skill right here, because it does that little AoE explosion damage. Now, once we get to here, we're going to go ahead and use Shadow Imbuement's primary explosion, makes enemies vulnerable for 2 seconds. And then we're going to be taking Shadow Crash. And now here is the most important thing. Once you get to this skill tree, you're going to want to be taking Shadow Imbuement and then maxing out Consuming Shadows right away. The second you max out Consuming Shadows, this build gets insanely better. Why does it get so much better? It gives you an extra 30 energy per kill. Let me just say that again. It gives you an extra 30 energy per kill with shadow damage. So what does that mean exactly? So you're going to be applying your little shadow damage to all of these monsters. They're going to be exploding. When they explode, they're going to kill something else, and then when that explodes, that'll kill something else. And just 2 kills, just 3 kills, will basically give you full energy. Let's go ahead and check out how much energy we have. 100 energy. 3 kills boosts you all the way back to full energy, basically. That's ridiculous. I guarantee you guys that that's going to get nerfed, so take advantage of this build while you can before they realize how insane this build is. Now, let's go ahead and see which ultimate we're going to take. We're going to be taking Death Trap. Why do we take Death Trap? Well, more shadow damage means more energy refunds. More energy refunds means more barrages. More barrages, as we remembered up here, every third cast means more vulnerabilities. Are you guys getting the tricks to this build? As you see right here, bows do an extra 4% increased damage to vulnerable enemies. This build is all about taking advantage of shadow and vulnerability. It's very, very insane. Now, something else you could look into in the future, after using an ultimate skill, restores another 25 energy. That lets you spam your skills even more. And then you also have Adrenaline Rush, which lets you increase your energy regeneration. Once you get this, I do think you can actually remove that basic attack, probably. And then I don't think we need that. And while above 50% maximum energy, gain increased movement speed. While below 50% maximum energy, gain increased attack speed. That might be useful. I don't know. We'll see in the future if I've got enough skill points for haste. Probably not the most important one. And once you get to your final skill down here, we will be taking Victimize. The reason why we're taking Victimize is because dealing direct damage to a vulnerable enemy has a 30% chance to cause an explosion, dealing 23% of the original damage to them and the surrounding enemies. Now, as you see right here, it actually says dealing direct damage to a vulnerable enemy, not killing the enemy. So what does that mean? That means when you're spamming that barrage, you're shooting out 5 arrows that hit that vulnerable enemy. That's a 30% chance per arrow to cause an explosion. This is going to be making you explode like crazy once you get this passive off. Then you're going to have things exploding, and this build is just going to be so much fun. I guarantee you guys, if you guys are bored of the Twisting Blades build, this is definitely a good change of pace for you guys to try out. Now again, if you guys want to see this build in the future, once I get some higher levels, some better gear, and all that good stuff, then feel free to subscribe, and I will keep you guys up to date with different builds that are less on the meta side, more on the fun side. This build I might actually become meta just because it's so insane, but also I do think this build is going to get nerfed if it ever does become popular. Now, that is pretty much all I've got for you guys today. Oh, I don't think I mentioned Inner Sight right here. Make sure you're using Inner Sight so that way you can spam that barrage even more. And that's pretty much it now. Now, that's all I've got for you guys today. If you guys want to be kept up to date with more Diablo 4 news, builds, and other things, feel free to subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.